It's 6 o'clock, 6:01, and it's October 11th, and we'll go ahead and start the Facilities and Transportation Committee meeting. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves for all that are here. Kevin Strobel.
Kristen Thompson.
Julia Olson.
Bucky Scott. Right?
Okay, first thing I'd like to talk about, give you a little bit of an update on our library. Upon further extension, as you guys are aware, we had significant water damage at our library. Upon further inspection of the library, we observed some concerning areas that have water damage. In short,
Over there, Bucky.
in an abundance of caution, we're going to need to do some more demolition to get some more drywall out of the library. The municipal reward of not doing that is simply not there. If we were to redo it and then mold or something else developed, it would get very problematic and even more costly. So what we've done is we have 3 different bids for pricing for removal of some more drywall and demolition in the library itself. And I'll hand these to you in a second here. Basically, they're from Burke's Fire and Water Restorations, from Service Pro, and from Halters. The cheapest one for the demolition work is $4,588. There is Halters was second, around $6,150, and Burke's Fire and Water Restorations was around $20,000. They were significantly higher. So very clearly, our recommendation is Service Pro, and we have used them historically.
What was the number for Service Pro again?
They are, let me see, $4,588.84.
And if I'm not mistaken, $4,000, that will come back once they find the damage and the insurance will cover a portion of that?
We're assuming that's going to be the case. We've taken pictures of everything.
It's a risk on the way in, but it's a calculated risk, because if it gets mold, we're really in trouble. That's very expensive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's best to go that direction. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so yeah.
Was it up in the ceilings, the walls? Do you have any idea like where
Yeah, it was in the ceilings, and then
it ran farther?
there's a part that goes across here, and then there's like a security camera. Water was actually in the security camera itself, so we know water's flowing up and above there.
Right.
So it very clearly we're concerned about what's going on behind there.
Absolutely. They're all 3. I'll take a look at them. Yeah, when I talked to Steve, when we went down there and I talked to Aaron Spores, or Mr. Spores, and they knew the water was up in there, so when the first portion of the demolition came in, they didn't touch any of that stuff? Or they did?
Clearly, they didn't touch part of that area, and clearly there's some damage in this particular area. So we had a couple of people look at that for us, and they were also equally concerned about it, and so that's why we're moving forward.
It wouldn't have been any cheaper if they did. I'm just suggesting that. I just was wondering why they didn't touch it, because Aaron knew about it a couple weeks ago, or we talked about it. Or maybe it was post that he was telling me. I don't know.
I don't know the exact timing of that.
Yeah.
We're recommending that you put that on the board agenda tonight, obviously, so we can move
The 4580?
What's
The
that?
4588?
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
So we're gonna, that's on the committee of the whole to be voted on in 2 weeks, or do we have a special vote? You want a special vote?
I'd like to put it on the agenda tonight. We can vote on it in 2 weeks, that's fine.
Okay.
And from the committee's perspective, anybody have a problem with that?
No.
Yeah, no, it needs to be done. I agree. The sooner you get to it, the less mold we'll get. There is an additive they can spray up in there that helps, but it's really about getting air in there and trying to dry it out first. Once you dry it out, you're good, but if it's laying there, it'll get moldy.
Second thing, I just want to give you an update on our bees situation. Obviously, I think most of you are aware we've had a significant issue in the gymnasium with bees. There's a bee's nest that was actually in the wall, and I've learned more about bees and extermination of bees in the last 2 weeks than I ever want to know in my life. But basically, what's happened, we've had them out every other day for about the last 2 to 3 weeks. The exterminator. The bee's nest was huge, and it's inside the wall itself, so it was difficult. You couldn't get to it, and it was up high at the ceiling. What they've had to do is use some kind of poison powder, and so when I guess the eggs would hatch for the bees, that's when they would die, but they would be hatched first. So they fly around, they roll around in this dust, and they fly around a little bit, and then they die. So this has been ongoing. We have to keep getting them, keep having it serviced. We also had some bee issues down at the intermediate center and the middle school, and they've been taken care of. I think we're in pretty good shape right now. I was actually down at the gym today, and I didn't see any bees flying around up there, so I think we're in real good shape.
And which school is that at?
We've had a couple of things at the middle school, the intermediate center, and the high school.
Wow.
The biggest issue has been at the high school and the gymnasium. We've just been fighting that for a couple of weeks. There's smaller issues at the other buildings.
So is that, the exterminator, is that a contract that they're fulfilling, or we're getting?
We have
Charged by the hour every time
a
they
yearly
go?
service agreement with them, but it's also above that.
A little bit of, okay.
It is above that?
I believe it is. And I'll double check Steve's language. I'll circle back to you, just let me double check.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure it's above the normal, like their typical monthly spray or whatever they do for us.
Yeah, that's understandable, I guess.
They get places we don't think they can.
They're very responsive to us in regards to it. They
Oh, I
stay out of
understand.
it.
I just wanted that.
Do they know what
clarified.
kind of bees they are by chance?
I don't know that off the top of my
Okay.
head. Third thing, I just want to give you guys a transportation update and TransFinder. We are having one of our secretaries trained on our software TransFinder to assist in some of the routing. I do want to point out to the board, and it's noteworthy, our two Kleins and Ruins have been outstanding in helping us. So as you know, we're short a facilities director right now, transportation director. They've been helping us out as much as they can, which we really appreciate, and it's helped things go smoothly. And frankly, having our secretary is also doing a good job in helping clean up loose ends for us to keep things running relatively.
And one of the big complaints that we had last meeting was the fact that the transfer of that data was a problem, and we got the opportunity to talk to Scott Matz, and he said that that's been ratified.
It's my understanding it's been ratified. I also have set up a meeting with one of the sales representatives from TransFinder to discuss some of the, I guess, service points that we've had concerns over the last year.
Okay.
Frankly, they were trying to upsell us on a product, and I said, we need to talk here about meeting our expectations to start with first. So I set up a meeting with them to give them a chance to try to resolve some of these issues that we
Right.
they needed. There's a little bit of issues they haven't attended to yet, to our standards anyway.
Yeah, because we were paying them, and I know we're short now, but it really shouldn't. That's not the case in all schools. That was my big concern. I'm like, I was shocked that you could have that issue happening across the land, and it's just not the case. And so it was a problem he was able to take care of, but also holding their feet to the fire, which I'm glad we're doing, because it's not cheap, which is great. Thank you.
Since our last meeting, the concrete work and transition house has been completed at Hunt, so just to make you aware of that. And
That was paved, right? Or was that
Yes,
concrete?
paved,
Okay.
sorry. And the last thing that I have is, just to give you an idea, we are currently interviewing for the Director of Facilities and Contracting Services position. About halfway through my interviews right now, and hopefully we'll have a candidate on our next board meeting.
Was SSC does that for, they provide those types of services. Was there any reach out to them in terms of candidates in the area that might be considering something like that, or if we were going to?
I talked to their internal manager, Thomas Seed, about that, and so he did not have, I don't know about playing it.
I got you. Yeah, okay.
And that's what I have for you guys.
Yeah, I really don't have anything other than that. Does anybody else have anything to bring up? Thanks for the extra load that you're taking on. Appreciated. Thank you. And that'll conclude our meeting for this evening.